Welcome to The Explainer. If you're a new parent, you know that the world of baby gear can be, well, a lot. Today, we're going to tackle one piece of that puzzle, the breast pump. Our goal is simple, to cut through the confusion and help you feel totally confident.
Okay, let's just dive right in. This thought? It's on the mind of so many new mothers. The idea here isn't just to throw information at you, but to actually build up that confidence so you can figure out a routine that really works for you and your little one.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, the big why. Then we'll get into the gear, the actual technique, the super important safety stuff, and finally, we'll hit some of those questions we hear all the time.
All right, first things first, why would you even think about using a breast pump in the first place? Let's take a look at some of the most common reasons.
The reasons for pumping are all over the map, and they're all deeply personal. For some, it's a must-do, like if you're going back to work. For others, it's a medical thing, especially if your baby arrived a little early. It can also just be a tool for comfort, to get some relief. Or it can be a really amazing way to let your partner or other family members get in on those feeding sessions. Everyone's story is different.
Okay, so we've covered the why. Now let's get into the what. Trying to pick a pump can feel like you're staring at a wall of options, right? So let's break it down and make some sense of all the gear out there.
Before we even talk about machines, it's worth giving a shout out to hand expression. It's free, you can do it anywhere, and it's actually super effective in those first few days. A pump, on the other hand, is a huge time saver once your milk is fully in. Honestly, a lot of moms find that using a combo of both is the real sweet spot.
This really simplifies the choice, doesn't it? If you just plan to pump once in a while, a simple manual pump might be all you need. If you're always on the move, a battery-operated one is a lifesaver. But for moms who are going to be pumping a lot, like every day at work, a double electric pump is the MVP. It saves you so much time by pumping both sides at once.
Okay, listen up, because this is a really big deal for safety. Most pumps you'll find in a store are what's called open system. The closed system ones have a little barrier to keep milk away from the motor. And here's the bottom line. This is exactly why you should never, ever buy a used pump or borrow one from a friend. The risk of contamination is just not worth it.
If there is one piece of the puzzle to get right, this is it. The flange, that's the part that goes on your breast, is everything for your comfort and for how much milk you'll get. A bad fit can be painful and inefficient, so let's figure out how to find your perfect size.
It's way simpler than it sounds, I promise. Here's a pro tip. Measure your nipple before you pump or breastfeed. Then you just add about 3 to 4 millimeters to whatever you measured, and that's your target flange size. And remember, our bodies change, so things start feeling uncomfortable down the road, it might be time to measure again.
And this is a perfect visual for what you're looking for when you turn the pump on. If it's too small, ouch, it's going to rub and be painful. Too big, and it's not going to work very well. You're looking for that just right Goldilocks fit, where your nipple can move back and forth without any friction.
Okay, you've picked your pump, you've found your fit. Now for the main event. Let's walk through what a pumping session actually looks like, step by step.
Think of this as your pre-flight checklist, right? Wash your hands, get comfy, put the pump together. Once you're all set, you'll start the pump off fast but light. What you're doing is mimicking a baby's first sucks to trigger your letdown. That's when the milk starts flowing. As soon as you see it, you switch to a slower, stronger rhythm. And just remember the mantra, suction should be strong, but it should never, ever be painful.
So how long should you go for? For most people, a session with a double pump is going to last about 15 to 20 minutes. You're basically pumping until the flow slows down to just a few drips. Pumping for way longer doesn't really mean you'll get more milk.
All right, pumping's done. High five! But we're not quite finished yet. Cleaning your pump properly is absolutely non-negotiable. It's all about keeping your baby safe from germs. So let's go over that simple routine.
This 4-step process needs to become second nature, something you do after every single session. First, rinse everything with cool water. Then, give it all a good wash in warm, soapy water. Rinse it all again with hot water. And finally, this is important, let it all air dry on a clean paper towel or a rack. A cloth towel can just put germs right back on, so air drying is really the way to go.
To wrap things up, let's tackle a few of the most common questions and worries that tend to pop up once you get going on your pumping journey.
The classic efficiency question. It makes sense, right? You'd think if you just pump for a really long time, you could skip the next session. But it turns out that's not how our bodies work. When it comes to milk supply, frequency is way more important than duration. Your body responds to how often milk is removed, not for how long. Besides, you get most of your milk in the first 8 to 10 minutes anyway.
Here's another common worry. Did my baby get enough milk? Should I pump after a feed just to make sure I'm empty?
The short answer here is usually no. Your body is brilliant and it works on supply and demand. If your baby's nursing well, your body makes just the right amount. Pumping after every feed can actually signal your body to make too much milk, and that can lead to a whole other set of problems.
Oh, this one can cause some serious panic. You feel full, you know the milk is in there, but nothing is coming out of the pump. It's so frustrating, but usually there's a simple explanation.
First, do a quick equipment check. Is every little piece snapped into place correctly? If the pump seems fine, then check in with yourself. Stress is the #1 enemy of letdown. Try taking a few deep breaths, look at a picture of your baby, put on some music. That mind-body connection is incredibly powerful.
And really, that's the biggest takeaway. This is not about being perfect. It's about finding a rhythm and a routine that you can sustain, one that works for you and your family. We really hope this has armed you with a practical know-how to feel confident and ready for this next step.